go around Abkhazia and there are traffic lights and traffic jams, there are shops and cafes, there's some kind of economic activity. Certainly it looks a lot better than it used to. But all this obviously is within a framework of international isolation and non-recognition. Abkhazia occupies this beautiful stretch of coastline on the Black Sea, with the mountains behind it. It's an absolutely stunning place. It's between Russia and Georgia. It spent a lot of its history being part of Georgia and then other bits of its history being separate and also with quite close links to Russia. And in the Soviet era, it was an autonomous republic, but inside the Union Republic of Georgia. And after the Soviet Union broke up in 1992, there was a Georgian military expedition into Abkhazia, which went wrong. The Abkhaz fought back and a full-scale war broke out. The Abkhaz, with a lot of help from various Russian military units, won that conflict, with the result that since 1993, Abkhazia has basically been separate from Georgia, kind of de facto independent, but not recognized by anybody. The next important date is 2008, the Russian-Georgian War, as a result of which Russia recognized Abkhazia as independent in 2008, along with a few other countries, but it's mainly about Russia. The paradox of that is that although recognized by Russia and therefore kind of with more money and more support by Russia, it also internationally became more isolated as a result of Russian recognition. The big question is, what do Abkhaz people want? I think it's fair to say that they don't want to be part of Georgia. They still remember the war and the trauma of that. Certainly they feel that Georgia is hostile to them. But equally, I would say they don't want to be part of Russia either, and yet you see a lot of de facto integration with Russia. Abkhaz say they want independence, but no one apart from Russia really is going to recognize them. So the question is, what does that mean? For them, it means less than a seat at the United Nations. It means some kind of ability to organize and govern themselves internationally. Obvious question here is, who represents Abkhazia? Because there's the Abkhaz, but they're actually a minority in their own republic. There's a large Georgian population which is refugees outside Abkhazia. Most of them fled to Georgia. They should also have a voice. And then there's also other minorities, in particular a lot of Armenians in Abkhazia. No one really asks them ever what they want. Georgia has tried, I think, very hard, particularly in the last few years, to reach out to Abkhazia to say, we don't threaten you anymore, we want to offer you opportunities like Georgian passports, Georgian educational opportunities. The sad thing here is that the Georgians are always and often offering things to Abkhaz but a bit too late, that things that they'd offer Abkhaz would have accepted 10 or 15 years ago are now being offered now, and it's too late. Abkhazia is quite isolated now. It's the Russian influence there is quite strong. So in the last 10 years, international engagement has fallen away. The United Nations mission withdrew after 2008 there. There's very few internationals on the ground. I think that's a shame. I think the Abkhaz would like more of an international presence. So I certainly think it's worth trying harder and targeting things like higher education. There's a university in Sukhumi which I think would benefit from more international links. Students would benefit from that. Healthcare is another place to engage. The Georgian government is always very cautious about this. They worry about international engagement there. But I think the question to the Georgians really is, what's worse, to limit international engagement there, or to see Abkhazia basically become a de facto part of Russia? And I think the Georgians should probably accept that the first option is better for them.